What is going on, you guys? My name is Patrick, and otherwise known as Scotty. So I'm kind of doing a weird little thing. I'm doing kind of like a late week update. It's because there's a lot to talk about. Lots happened. So let's start off with my job. So you guys know I've mentioned in previous videos that I started a new job about 3-4 weeks ago. Great paying job, but there seems to be some issues. So the big thing, and it kind of all came to a head yesterday, was there's massive amounts of toxicity on the shift that I'm on. The two guys that are currently on my shift are probably some of the worst guys I've ever worked with. It's pretty normal to deal with some attitude and some cockiness and things like that in the maintenance field, but these guys are something else. One guy's like, I think he said he's in his like early 70s and just thinks he's God's gift to mankind, but he can barely speak a lick of English. He's Japanese, and you can understand maybe 2-3 words out of a sentence that he says, because he still hasn't properly learned English over 20 years being at this job, which makes it really frustrating because he's the most knowledgeable guy. He's also the PLC guy and the electrician, and I'm trying to learn from him, but it's hard to learn from a guy that you can barely understand. The other guy is a young guy. He kind of reminds me of me, just kind of a bigger asshole than me. We've actually already gotten into it, him and I. And then he actually got into it with like 3 more people the following week. And I actually happened to see that, and I was just kind of like, this kind of just proves my point that it's not me. It's this other guy. So they've been treating me like garbage. And it kind of all came to a head. I just told my boss, like, listen, like I'm not up for this. So they were doing a bunch of stuff. I got extremely pissed off. I was actually about like 2 seconds from quitting, and then they were just like, hey, just go home for the day. How about you come in on first shift, and then we'll see what happens. So I was gonna come and go in for first shift today, but I was still pissed off at like 9 o'clock last night, because of everything there was a lot of stuff that happened. So and I'm not gonna get into all the little details, but it was pretty bad, and I hadn't been that worked up in a while, and then to compound that, they also gave me bad news. So last week I actually ended up being off of work because I got some massive stomach bug. I was throwing up. I was, using the bathroom a lot. Let's just leave it like that. So I just couldn't get into work, and I knew that when I negotiated for the job, I negotiated 2 weeks vacation. I assumed we had sick pay. Come to find out, we don't get sick pay. The only way we get sick pay is to use vacation. So here I thought I had 2 weeks to use. Come to find out, they tell me yesterday, which is basically almost a month in, that, you can't use vacation for 6 months. Never heard of that before, ever. So all of last week, unpaid. Was not expecting that. So, and they kind of played dumb a little bit. I'm not sure if that was real or fake. I just told them, I'm like, this isn't what I signed up for. I showed them the offer letter where it did not state anywhere that it's a 6-week hold. There's a 6-week hold on that, and that there's no sick days. So, I knew that I had to do some stuff today. Kind of wanted to figure some things out. Kind of want to relax the mind. Excuse me. So I had one phone interview earlier today. It's not going to be the same pay. Excuse me. I ate lunch like an hour ago. I'm just burping. So I had one interview. It's actually for it's like a field tech job, field service job. I'll be kind of working on like restaurant equipment, and just traveling my area, my neck of the woods for that. Actually, and then there's another job, which is doing the exact same thing, and that one's closer to my pay, according to the site. And they actually just messaged me a little while ago and saying they want to interview me and they think I would be a great fit, and so we'll see what happens. Yeah, it's been awful, and and it's gonna allude to some other things I'm gonna talk about later. So let's get into the meat and bones of it, because a lot of you guys want to hear more about the food truck than my personal problems. So when it comes to the food truck, things are getting really expensive. It's been a very expensive week, in a time when I really don't have the money to do this. So one thing I decided to do, being that I'm in Wisconsin, so our springs and our falls can get very chilly, and even on some summer nights can get a little chilly. I mean, 50 degrees, when you've had 90, it gets chilly. So I decided to add drip coffee to our lineup. We're not gonna do all this fancy drinks. We're not a cafe. We're not a coffee shop. I just want to add something simple, like a hot beverage. So it's gonna be So we'll have hot chocolate. Still figuring out the brand for that one, but we'll have hot chocolate on hand. It'll be made to order, and then we'll have drip coffee. We'll have probably 2 or 3 different kinds, maybe like one brand I already got approved for, that I have really good experience with, is Jim's Organic Coffee. Love their coffee, and I'm not paid by them. I don't get anything from them for saying that. So I love their coffee. It's kind of and because I don't know about some of you guys, but when I drink coffee, and if it's like really cheap coffee, it gives me a stomach ache, and it gives me acid indigestion. So what I found with Jim's Organic Coffee is I don't get that at all. Like, it's the smoothest coffee I've ever had. I used to actually sell it when I had my other business and I had my store. I was the only, I think, Jim's Organic Coffee person, like distributor, in this area. So I love their coffee. I love what they're about. It's local, I think, so they have all different flavors. They have I think they have like a Java, and then they have, which is like your medium roast, but then they have this Colombian roast that's phenomenal, and it was my top seller. So I might bring on like 1 or 2 of those, and then I was able to get most of the equipment through an online auction today. It was a local auction, actually, for a pretty big business that closed down its restaurant. So I was able to get like all the air pots. I think I got like 10 or 12 air pots I think it was for a total of like $20-$30, which is a steal. I mean, a good air pot's going to cost you $40 each. So the fact that I just got like 10 to 12 is amazing. Actually, I did get a bun drip coffee brewer, but I don't know if it works. It looks pretty rough from the pictures. I think I only got it for like $1 or $1.50. What's nice about it is most of it's electrical. I'm an electrical guy. So I figure for $1 or $1.50, hey, why not? I mean, if I can get it running, it'll save me a ton of money. Or I could sell it and get $300, $400, $500, because it's a double air AirPod brewer. And those typically go for, even used, typically go for like $600 to $800. So, maybe I fix it up and sell it, or I keep it. One of the two. Kind of depends on how much it's going to cost to lease. I'm working with a local company here to lease a brewer, and then the part of that is I have to buy my coffee from them, but I can still add in some other ones. So we'll see. I'm going to also add in some cold brew coffees. I think that'll be a really good thing, especially if people just need a quick pick-me-up. Something cold, something fresh. So the other thing is I picked up 2 really crucial pieces of equipment through the auction that I didn't think I would get. Technically 3 because of the brewer. I didn't even think about that till now. But I did get a small commercial fridge. And when I say small, it's under a counter. It's only 1 door. It's not everything that I need. It solves a part of my problem. I still need to get a single door commercial fridge, the stainless steel door in the front. I can't use the clear ones, because those you can only use for like drinks and prepackaged items that are fully cooked. You can't put uncooked meat, no matter what container it's in. You can't legally put it in there. So if I ever got inspected, which is probably going to happen, especially in Oak Creek, since that's a whole debacle, which I should talk about that. in a second. I'm going to get it inspected at some point, and if I'm using those fridges incorrectly, I can get fined. I can get shut down. So I'm really trying to do stuff by the book. So I'm just gonna because I forgot to put it in my notes. So I'm gonna just take a quick sidestep here, talking about Oak Creek. So as you know, and I didn't want to talk about the actual city, but whatever. It's out there now. So as you know from my last video, I'm having an issue with them, particularly the city clerk who has now knowingly lied to me, and I have email proof of her lying, and her doubling down on the lying. So I filed a complaint with the city administrator, who's her boss, and I know that something's amiss, because initially he right off the bat was trying to like, oh, maybe she just made a mistake or forgot about this and forgot about that. And I said, listen, no, that's not the case. I was like, here's the entire email chain of everything we talked about. I was like, in there, she never once mentioned the fact that there is a way to have a public event on another business's private property. So this all stems from me trying to do a pop-up event at a private business's parking lot. Currently, there are no ordinances on record that tells me that I can't do this. There's not even information of telling you how to do it, because I don't think they want businesses to know how to do it. But there have been a couple food trucks that have done it successfully in the last 6 months, and one has done it twice. And I contacted them, and they told me everything. They said, oh yeah, it is legal to do it. There's actually no precedence for them banning food trucks from operating on private property. What they do require, and they found this out the hard way, was that you have to get a temporary use permit, which is not something that's ever listed on on Oak Creek's website. It's nowhere. None of the paperwork, none of the attachments that the city clerk sent me. In fact, when I mentioned this particular food truck and the 2 events they did, the city clerk lied and said, oh, they're probably doing this illegally. Here's the crazy part. That temporary use permit goes through the city clerk's office. So she had to sign off on this. And she knew about this, but instead she doubled down and said, this is not permissible at all in Oak Creek. So I said that to the city administrator, and he's been radio silent for the last 2 days. So I don't know if he's reading through everything and he's doing stuff in the background and actually maybe doing things legitimately and talking to the city attorney and getting this all fixed. I'm not optimistic of that. I think they're trying to cover their tracks, trying to cover their butt, and I'm probably going to have to file a complaint with the state, which means if that happens, they're going to do a full-on investigation, and there could be some crazy stuff that comes out of that. Who knows? I mean, it could be, because they're going to start looking at the business dealings, things, and then they're going to go through more than just the record of me and her. They're going to go through, well, if she's discriminating against one guy, who's to say that she hasn't done this with hundreds of people or thousands of people, or there's even deeper corruption, because what she is doing is illegal. You cannot lie as a city clerk and prevent a business or a person from doing things legally. So if I just, it's one thing if I just did something and did it knowing that I was breaking the law. That's one thing. I did hours of research. So she's in some trouble because it actually goes against the state statute for ethics. So that's kind of where they're at right now, because I was like, this is illegal, and this is, and I was like, I'm in the right here to sue you guys if this doesn't get resolved. So I don't think there's going to be any positive resolution anytime soon. I think they're going to really try to either hope that I go away, but I'm not that kind of guy. I'm a veteran. I don't like being bullied. I don't like being discriminated against. I don't like any of that behavior. So I'm going to get to the bottom of it. And if that means that she gets investigated by the state for state and federal violations, and she ends up losing her job, so be it. Not my problem. I'm just trying to operate a business legally. which is crazy because I contacted a neighboring city right next door, shares a border. And I said, hey, it was after this whole debacle, I started reaching out to all the other cities. I was like, hey, I just need to know what your ordinances are, your rules and regulations, anything that you have restrictions, whatever. And this one city's like, oh yeah, just once you get your permit, your statewide DATCP mobile food permit and the inspection report, just send us a copy and you're good to go. I was like, oh, I don't need any like hawker permits, nothing like that. She's like, no, you have to have your seller's permit. I was like, well, I already have that. She's like, well, then you would just have to send us those copies and you're good to go. You can literally sell on any street in our city and you don't need extra permits currently. I was like, oh, this is super easy. Whereas my hometown, the town that I've done over 10 years of community service in, out of the goodness of my heart, not something that I was court mandated to do or anything like that. Where I grew up, and I tried to represent my hometown, like at the state track meet, because I went to state for track. They're pushing back and they're trying to not allow me to do anything, which is weird because I've never been in trouble in the city of Oak Creek. I've never been arrested. I've never done anything illegal. I don't have any tickets. I don't have anything in Oak Creek. So I don't understand. So that's where we're at. That's a whole nother thing. I don't think that's going to get, like I said, I think it's going to be weeks, if not months, before that gets figured out. I do have 3 events scheduled. We'll see if I don't get kicked out of those, as I have a feeling they're going to try to do everything to make my life miserable, which is fine because then, because I don't have, like I said, I only have three events. Most of my events are in Kenosha and Racine, because those are the cities that are, Kenosha especially wants to work with me. And then like South Milwaukee really wants to work with me. And then there's a couple other cities that really want to work with me. So if they want to if my hometown doesn't want me, which is strange considering I've never done anything bad to them, there are other cities that are willing to work with me. For example, like Sturtevant, I could start like a food truck lot, and maybe get a commercial kitchen on there that could be my personal commercial kitchen for the food truck, and then allow work with the city to or the town of Sturtevant. I think it's the town of Sturtevant or the village of Sturtevant, one of those. Maybe start a food truck, and then where I can have like 3 or 4 food trucks out on that lot every day. We'll see. If Oak Creek really doesn't like food trucks. And there's actually a lot of posts recently about people getting really pissed off because they are trying everything in their power to keep food trucks out of Oak Creek, which is weird because they have 1 million restaurants and they have 1 million apartments. They have 1 million little strip malls with all these little, they probably got 400 food places in this tiny little city, but they won't allow a food truck. And I can understand, maybe they don't like the look of a food truck sitting on the city street because it's not a huge city, but you can still have regulations where we can still operate, but do so where we're not just parked on a major city street. Maybe we can work with private businesses to park on their lots, and maybe you limit it. Maybe you say like you can only do once a week or something like that, 1 day a week, whatever. That would work. I could accept that. Okay, so that's where we're at. Moving back to the food truck. So coffee, we're gonna have coffee. So I got a commercial fridge. It's a little tiny guy. I think it's only like 3 feet tall, like I think maybe 3 feet wide. I actually pick it up next week. That's gonna be fun because I'm gonna have to get it into the back of my pickup truck because it doesn't make sense for me to rent a trailer for this little thing. It's on caster. So I was thinking about renting ramps for like $20 and just pushing it up. So I still need a a single door commercial fridge with stainless steel front. And then I got a 34-inch wide Vulcan 6-burner stove with an oven. So I've been telling you I needed a stove. So there was an auction in my hometown. Weird. And actually it's literally right next to, no, This one was, oh no, this one is right next to my work. So literally the building right next door to my work. There's this wholesale auction place. I didn't even know it was there until today. So I was like, I'm just gonna throw like $100 bid on this thing. I probably won't get it. It's a Vulcan. If you know anything about cooking equipment, Vulcan is like the Lexus is a Porsche. You know, it's a high end piece of equipment. Now it's in rough shape. I've seen the pictures. It comes on casters. It's 34 inches wide, so it's just under 3 feet. Has 6 burners and has a stove, or has an oven, which is great because maybe I can make a cheesecake. You know, I can do a lot of things in the food truck now. So, but here's the thing. It's like I said, it's in rough shape. It needs a much thorough cleaning. The inside of the oven, all the way around. It's not terrible though. It's not terrible. It is missing almost all the knobs. It's only got, I think, 2 knobs for the burners. I need to get 4, which I already did. I found the website. Only thing, it just takes forever because I'm guessing it probably comes from China or something. But it says it's the actual ones from Vulcan. So I've already ordered those. Now the other thing it needs is it runs on natural gas. I have to convert it to LP, liquid propane. There's a conversion kit. I don't know which kit I need until I pick up the oven, which I'm doing tomorrow. And I have, excuse me, and unfortunately, there's some timing issues. So I actually have to put it in storage, which is literally like 5 minutes from the kitchen, because I won't have the truck this weekend. I'll talk about that in a second. So tomorrow I can actually look up the model number of the oven, of the stove / oven, and then figure out what part I need, and then look at ordering it. It might take me a week or two, mainly because that part could be anywhere from $90 to like $500. So we'll see. I have a feeling it's gonna be closer to like the $100 to $200 range. And then there's 2 things I could do. I could either keep it and put it in the truck because I do need a stove. And then even if I end up spending another $150, $200 on a conversion kit, you're talking about like $300 for an oven that's worth like $2,000 to $3,000. Or I could fix it up, make it look really nice, because once again, I can do that. I'm a maintenance guy. I have all the tools. I could fix it up and sell it and get maybe a little bit lesser one, and then profit the rest, and then put that towards the truck. That's an option too. Maybe I think what I might do is once I get it up and running, or once I get it fixed up, I think I will post it online and just see if it will sell. If it doesn't, then I'll just put it on the truck. No harm, no foul. So, but it's awesome because I didn't expect to get a stove, nevertheless a Vulcan, for $100. So once again, I'm picking that up tomorrow. That's going to be fun because it's just me. I've rented a trailer. Luckily, it's only going up about a foot on the trailer, and it does have a ramp, and it's on casters. So we'll see. And then, so why is the food? So I had mentioned something about the food truck. It's going to be late. I'm not picking it up tomorrow or Sunday. And this is part of my terrible day yesterday. I had one of the worst days I've had in a long time. And part of that was I was just dealing with commercial insurance issues. I went and purchased insurance through Geico commercial, and then for whatever reason it changed the date of the effective date, and then so I put it for next week. And then I was like, well, no, I'm picking up the truck on Sunday. And then they couldn't just fix that. They had to cancel it. But then the guy spent 30 minutes trying to sell me all this other insurance, which just absolutely pissed me off. So he's like, so he had to transfer me to someone who could cancel the insurance. So they had to cancel that insurance, which the deposit is still on my credit card, on my debit card. So they just they're just holding onto that money. And then I would have to reapply, so then pay a second deposit. So then we cancel it, then we go to reissue a new one, and then they're like, oh, we can't reissue it because you have a DOT number on this truck that's not registered to you. I was like, but I was able to do it online. It asked about the DOT number. I said that's not my number. and it just bypassed it. They're like, well, I can't do it, so whatever. And I was like, this is stupid. Um, so then I tried doing it online again, and all of a sudden, my deposit went from like $400 to like almost $600, and I'm like, this is stupid. So I just went to bed just pissed off. And then this morning I was able to go back. It actually gave me a lesser down payment than yesterday, and that actually went through with the correct effective date. So, which is weird because if I would have just kept the old one, it would have been fine. Because I spoke with the owner of the truck that I'm leasing from, and he's like, I'll just drop the truck off next Saturday on my way to vacation, because he's going on vacation, and he's got to drive past me anyway. So he's like, how about I just drop it off? And I was like, well, that will save me like $80 to $100 in an Uber fee, with tip. I was like, that would be fantastic. And he can drop it off right to the kitchen. Saves me, and then we'll just go over everything. So that's happening next Saturday, not this coming Saturday, next Saturday. So I could have just left the insurance as is, and I would have had over $400 more in my bank account right now, because they can hold my deposit for up to 7 business days, they said, which pissed me off even more. So, and what makes all of this really terrible is, once again, I'm not getting paid for the last week because they refused to pay me any sick days. So that's a lot of money that I'm missing out on. So, and there's a lot of stuff I still have to pay for. So for instance, I was able to pay for one of the permits, and that was for the food truck. And even the inspector's like, why'd you pay for that one? I was like, I don't know, I just picked one. I was like, I know I can't, you're not going to just approve that and I can just operate. No, I still have to get the other permit. So I still have to pay another $835 for the kitchen permit. And that has to be paid next week, which I think I can do, maybe, if everything goes okay. I'm waiting on a deposit, and it's being all squirrely right now, so I'm not sure. It's been really weird. It's been like the weirdest 2-3 weeks where I'm not getting paid for stuff. Like, everything that usually goes through pretty quickly isn't. I swear to God, I feel like I'm living in a simulation where whoever is running my life hates me. But that's just kind of where I'm at. It's been a struggle. Everything's been a struggle. I still need $1,000 for the monthly truck lease payment, that I should have, hopefully. And then the commercial kitchen, there's actually a deposit for that as well on top of the monthly fee. So there's a $790 deposit that I need to pay before I can park the truck. Luckily, she's willing to break it up into 2 payments, so I can do like half next week and then half the week after. And then on top of that, I still need the $2,000 to $2,500 for the truck wrap and like the menu board, the PVC printed menu board and things like that. So yeah, I'm a little stressed because I don't have all that money. So I'm waiting to hear back on a really small grant from Racine. We'll see if I get that. They said I was supposed to hear back this week about it, and if I get approved, I can submit a couple of receipts right off the bat, and that would actually take care of most of the 3 problems I mentioned: the permits, the truck lease payment, and the kitchen deposit, along with the money that I currently have. It does not pay for the truck wrap. I'm waiting to hear back from a local business on a potential sponsorship. I'm not holding out hope because everybody said no. Nobody wants to sponsor a food truck. No, even though it's a lot of advertising for whatever reason. It's just, I don't know. I don't have high hopes. I did have a really good conversation with the person that's representing, and it has to go to their board. They like the fact that I'm local. I grew up in the town. I've done a lot of stuff in the town. A lot of people know me from the charity event that I did, so they know a lot of the good things that I've done. So they know I'm not just like some guy that just randomly showed up to Oak Creek, and I'm also trying to work with a military organization in Oak Creek because I'm a veteran. But yeah, it's been tough. So if you can help, I would greatly help it. I still got the GoFundMe set up. I have. You can also donate on our website. I put up a wish list of stuff from Amazon. you can also message me. You can also sponsor like a stove or a fridge, stuff like that, or you can just message me directly. So thank you for your time. Sorry for another long video, a lot of stuff going on, but if you can help, I would greatly appreciate it. Hopefully I'll probably end up talking to you guys over the weekend. So I'll see you guys then. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you soon.